Introducing Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer. It's made with real fruit juice, is 6 times filtered, no added sugar, no artificial aftertaste, and is USDA certified organic. We're breaking away from the rest. New mixed berry Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer. As real as it tastes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for the turnout. About 45 minutes ago, we wondered if anyone would be here. But look, you look fantastic. Thank you for coming. We are here tonight for a very special, momentous occasion. It was about 5 or 6 years ago that Bruce Caplinger came to me and said, I've got this idea, and I'd like you to be a part of it. Will you help me in trying to get the word out? I said, sure, we can do that. What's your idea? And he says, we want to erect a statue in honor of Neil Johnston. And I said, fantastic. Let's make this happen. I was pretty much words in the situation. I know there are many people who made financial contributions to make this happen, and we are going to acknowledge you this evening and say thank you. But we have some special guests here this evening that had a true experience with Mr. Neil Johnston. We would like to recognize here this evening Nancy Munn. Nancy, give us a wave here. There she is. She is Neil's sister-in-law. Let's welcome her, please, with a warm round of applause.
She says she feels like 60.
91 feels like 60. I'll be 59 this month. I hope I feel as good as you two next month. We want to take a moment to also recognize Marjorie Delong Morgan from the class of 1946 to my left. If you don't mind, can I ask you a question or two? What does this moment mean to you now, all these years later, a classmate to be enshrined?
It's wonderful. I'm very happy that this has taken place.
What was it like to watch Neil play basketball?
Wonderful, yes.
What was he like as a student?
Oh, well, I didn't have any, I'm not like a teacher, so I couldn't, I don't think he was an honor student. I don't think he was that.
But he brought everybody to their feet when he played ball, didn't he?
That's right.
Well, thank you for attending tonight.
You're welcome.
Let's hear it again for Marjorie. Thank you. What's that again? Another dignitary that we have here is also a member of the Chillicothe High School Hall of Fame, one of the charter members, by the name of Mr. Garen Veris. The new knees look like they're working out pretty well. That's good. It was in the early 1990s when the Chillicothe High School Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame, was introduced. And I was sitting with my broadcast partner, John Rose, at the time, in the balcony there at Hatton Memorial Gymnasium. And I heard the name Neil Johnston, which I had never heard before. And then hearing my future broadcast partner, Pat Hyland, who was the PA announcer, start talking about this gentleman who played in the National Basketball Association from Chillicothe High School. And I said, Chillicothe had an NBA player? That was my introduction all 25, 30 years ago. And to learn his story has been absolutely fantastic. We have people here this evening that will share more details, but I want to give you just a few details here this evening in regards to his playing history. 1946 CHS alumnus who played baseball and basketball at Ohio State, and in the 1950s made a name for himself in the NBA. Johnston left OSU early after signing a minor league contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. When the dream of making it to the big leagues ended, he landed a tryout with the NBA's Philadelphia Warriors in 1951. Johnston went on to lead the NBA in scoring 3 consecutive seasons, 1953, 54, and 55, all while perfecting the hook shot. The Warriors won the NBA championship in 1956. Johnston was named an NBA All-Star 6 straight seasons and scored more than 10,000 points during his career. When he sustained a knee injury in 1958, he became the Warriors' head coach. One of the players he coached was a young rookie by the name of Wilt Chamberlain. We lost Johnston 43 years ago this month. At the time, he was the athletic director for North Texas College. Johnston was inducted into the NBA and National Hall of Fame in 1990 and in the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame in 2008, which was also the same year that his alma mater, the Chillicothe Cavaliers, won the Boys Division II state championship. One of his former teammates from Ohio State could not be with us this evening. He did pass along some words and asked that we share them with you. He is suffering from some illness at the age of 93. He really wanted to be here, but here's what he would like to share. Neil and I started at Ohio State University in the fall of 1946. It was a chaotic time on campus with hundreds of World War II veterans complementing the normal high school challengers. Neil and I chose to live in the dormitory rooms built in the side of the stadium. It was rather Spartan, with about 20 young men per room. The dorms had been built to house military personnel for special training courses. We were young and didn't know what to expect, so we thought it was great. Our introduction to basketball at OSU was filled with over 100 hopefuls trying to make the team that had only a handful of openings. In those early days before St. John Arena was built, OSU played its home games at the old Fairgrounds Coliseum. Many of you remember Chillicothe playing there in some of the high school games. In addition to the games, we also had our daily practices there. It was really cold. To get to the Coliseum, we met at 15th and High on campus. At 3 p.m. after class, an old yellow school bus driven by a student drove us to and from practices. I can remember Neil climbing on the bus and doubling up his 6'9" frame to barely keep from hitting his head. He didn't like the cold weather either. And also, he always wore a 3/4 length coat. In those days, new students who had not been in military service were required to take 2 years of reserve officer training class. That's the ROTC. We were furnished regular Army clothing. One item, a 3/4 length coat. This is the coat Neil wore every day. When he got on the bus, he was greeted with, "Hi, Colonel," or "Here comes the Colonel." Hence, he had the nickname from his teammates. Our team had talent, but it took a while to develop. We could be very good some days, very mediocre others. Going into our junior year, we felt very confident, but then we lost Bob Radiger from down here, Waverly, Ohio, who was killed in an auto accident, and Neil signed a pro baseball contract. We were left with regulars Donham, Schnitger, along with Burkholder and Brown. Fred Taylor was added to the starting group. Taylor, of course, later became OSU's coach and led the Lucas Havlicek group to an NCAA championship and was named to the Hall of Fame. The group mentioned above went on to win the Big Ten title and was ranked 2nd nationally. Community College New York beat OSU in the tournament. That's probably City College New York is my guess, in the tournament by 1 point, and went on to win the NCAA championship. Many of us discussed what would have been like if Neil would have stayed at Ohio State. A large picture of Neil hangs on the wall of the Schottenstein Center. It's a rare but well-deserved honor for Neil, someone who played only 1 full year. Thanks again for inviting me to be part of your evening festivities. Sincerely, Gene Brown. As we mentioned, a number of corporate sponsors made this possible, and I'd like to bring up one of the committee members for this event, Mr. Mike Lang, for the recognition.
get this right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
That's a tough act to follow. I think of Dan as the voice of Chillicothe, and I think many of you can understand why I think that. And I'm going to start off my thanks right there with Dan. Dan's been very instrumental in helping with everything that we've done, and he's done a lot of things around this town. Anytime there's something good happening, he's pretty close by. So thank you, Dan. We appreciate you. And I'm supposed to tell you to hold your round of applause for this list of people until after I'm finished. Because it's quite a long list, and when you look at your program, I'm going to try to get through about half of it here as quick as I can. I'd like to say a special thanks to the people who have helped out in numerous fundraisers. Brian and Victoria Fields with Chillicothe Antique Emporium. Jimmy Hines signed autographs at that fundraiser you guys had. We appreciate that. I would be leaving out a very important person if I didn't thank Bruce and Becky Caplinger. They've done a lot as well. I should put my glasses on because I'm going to forget somebody if I don't. Southern Ohio Monument helped put this rock here. The Brad Basil family and the Drew Basil family helped a lot with the fundraisers. Mark Bayless was at our fundraiser at the Elks and signed autographs. We appreciate that. Koppel Cole, Dewey Price Auctioneer Services. Dewey's since passed away. And John Simmons. We appreciate everything that all of you guys have done helping with the fundraisers. The inscription on the top of this stone here, I have to tell you, I've never read it. I didn't get involved in this because of anything that says. I got involved with this because of what I felt like this would inspire for younger people, younger kids especially. I went to the school board meeting one time and spoke, and I talked about how I envisioned art teachers bringing their kids out here and sitting around in the grass and on the sidewalk, and everybody drawing pictures of this, and everybody having a different interpretation of it. And I could see the school board members start shaking their head slowly, real fast, or not, real steady, and so they understood where I was coming from. So we've listed the Board of Education, obviously, as one of our corporate sponsors. The other corporate sponsors I want to mention are Selly's Landscape and Design, Joyce Atwood, William Beatty family. And if you'd like to stand up when I say your name, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, that's okay. Please hold your applause until the end. Tracy Brookover, I already mentioned the Board of Education. The CHS class of 1946, the class of 1950, the class of 1951, the class of 1981. Vincent Beverly Concrete, this pad that we're standing on, Vincent donated the concrete and the labor to do this work, and just recently came back and resealed it. We really appreciate Vince. I wish he was here. Jan and Joan Corzine, Larry and Mary Gates, Chris and Tracy Good, the Haller family, Haller Funeral Home, Herlihy Moving and Storage. Joe Herlihy stored the statue for us after it arrived in Chillicothe, and then brought it here to the site when we were ready for it. The Hernstein Family Fund, Thomas and Karen Hunter, in memory of Bill Lane, who was my father. Jim Leggett, the David Meade Massey Trust, Diana McCorkle, Coach Don Morris, Overman and Son Crane Service, Bob and Kay Sigler, Carvel and Charmel Simmons, Charles and Sybil Stevens family, Lynn and Dave Vidian. Are they here? They flew in from Philadelphia and used to listen to the games on the transistor radio, and Neil was their favorite player. Ware Funeral Home, and last but not least, Neil's paper boy, Larry Weiner Williamson. Those were the corporate sponsors. I'd like to recognize the committee members as well. Bill Beatty. I think it's time you guys stand up and get some recognition. Bill Beatty, Randy Bliss, Tracy Brookover. I'd like to ask that you keep Tracy in your prayers. He asked for prayers on Facebook yesterday. He had a heart procedure done today. John Campbell, Bruce Caplinger, Jill Caplinger, Ron Caplinger, Kevin Cheney, Jan Corzine, Matthew Cremines, Jeff Doles is at a different function right now. He called Bruce just a little bit ago. Brian Fields, Larry Gates, Chris Good, Mike Haller, Tim McMahon, Steve Mullins, myself, Tony Parker, Bob Sigler, Charles Stevens, Lisa Yerig, and again, last but not least, Larry Weiner Williamson. I think I covered everybody, so I'd like for you to give those lists a round of applause, and thank you for Coach Don Morris. I thought I said that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and I'm going to turn over the program now to the athletic director, Knute Bonner.
Hi everyone, as Mike said, my name is Knute Bonner. I'm the athletic director here at Chillicothe High School. And on behalf of not only Chillicothe High School, the Chillicothe High School Athletic Department, and the Chillicothe City Schools Board of Education, I would like to thank everyone here in attendance, as well as all of our corporate sponsors and our committee members for making this statue and this event happen. There's not very many schools in Southern Ohio, let alone the entire state of Ohio, that can say that they have a Naismith Hall of Fame basketball player. And until recently, I don't think very many people knew that a Chillicothe High School graduate was not just a Naismith Hall of Fame player, but also a player of such a magnitude that Neil was. Just since having the statue up, I've received in the hundreds to thousands of questions of who's that statue for and what did he do, and just being able to tell people that Neil Johnston was one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the game, the pioneer of the hook shot, a NBA All-Star, an NBA champion, and a Naismith Hall of Fame member, I think brings a lot of recognition to not only what Chillicothe was, what it is, but also what it can be. And as Mike mentioned, it's just a great opportunity for kids to see and have someone to look up to, and see that someone from little old Chillicothe was at one time an NBA All-Star and is enshrined in the Naismith Hall of Fame. So once again, on behalf of the Board of Education, the Athletic Department, and Chillicothe High School, thank you all for your support and your attendance at today's event. Up next, we'll have committee member and really the brains of the operation down here, Bruce Caplinger.
I'm not Bruce Caplinger. had a slight change. I wouldn't go that far. We have someone extra special to join us here this evening. He hails from Cincinnati, and he is here tonight to represent the Neil Johnston family. I will allow him to explain the story on how he learned about Neil Johnston at the age of 15. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for Mr. Rob Price.
Thank you, Dan. Before I read my canned speech, I would like everybody that can stand give a roaring applaud for Bruce. Without him, with this idea and him spearheading this project, we would not be here today. Okay, here we go. Welcome all. My name's Robert Price, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the extended Johnston family. Uncle Neil to them is a legend, both as they remember him as living Uncle Neil and later in their lives, living his legacy. More on that later. The Johnston family are so appreciative to the people of Chillicothe to be honoring Neil Johnston, their family hero, and to Bruce, who spearheaded the project. I feel exceptionally privileged to be here talking on their behalf. Unfortunately, circumstances beyond their control, they could not be here today. I'll be brief. I'm a lifelong friend of the Walter Johnston branch, Neil's brother. I'm a Cincinnati native, 20-year retired Navy veteran. Today you will notice I am wearing the medals and ribbons I was awarded in service to our country to show respect for Neil's three older brothers, Robert, Jim, and Walt, all who served in World War II. The greatest generation, children of the Great Depression, who went on as young men serving in World War II for our country. I personally was friends with Neil's brother, Walt, and when I was 15, till he passed in 2011, was a really close friend and gave me great advice as a teenager. I'll never forget. Walt liked to talk rather fondly of his brother Neil, who passed at a much too early age of 49. So now the legacy of the Johnstons. Neil's brothers obviously were very proud of their baby brother at 6'8", but his brothers were rather tall too. First on the legacy list is Neil's niece, Jenny. Jen Lamont now. She is Walt's daughter and is the next athlete on the Johnston family tree. An accomplished athlete and a champion swimmer who I personally witnessed her long hours of dedication to her sport in high school. She holds several Ohio State swimming records. She went on to the University of Southern California on an athletic scholarship where she became a collegiate All-American. Today, Jen is the CEO of the American Swimming Coaches Association. Jen and her husband Dave Lamont have two sons, taller than Neil. And guess what? They play basketball too. Drake Lamont, Neil's great nephew, played for Western Michigan University and is currently the graduate assistant for the University of Texas basketball team. And brother Drew is currently on a basketball scholarship at Georgetown College. The Lamonts also took in their home and fostered a young teenager, TJ Slayton, who went on to become a defensive tackle and currently plays for the Green Bay Packers. I can't emphasize enough on what the Jen, Lamont, and Johnston family has impacted in sports as a whole. So you know, Neil was a great player, a basketball scholar, a superb performer, and a master of the hook shot. The head coach of the Warriors, Coach Johnston, was Wilt Chamberlain's first head coach and mentor in the basketball NBA. Neil's nephew Steve, Neil's nephew Steve, he's my best friend, His daughter, Melanie, an accomplished performer of the arts in theater, graduate of the University of Florida's New World School of Arts, and Steve's son, Jeremy, 1 year away from his PhD from Columbia University in New York in electrical engineering. By the way, Neil's nephew, Steve, again my best friend, is an accomplished sound engineer who has several awards, including 2 Emmys for sound, an Apex Golden Reel Award for being the lead sound engineer on Bob Seger's Like a Rock album. These are only some of the accomplishments the Neil Johnston legacies have achieved. I don't know them all, but I can tell you the ones I do are so special and so well deserved. And it comes all back to their Uncle Neil and his brothers Robert, Jim, Walt, and their parents, Alexander and Etna, who raised their boys right here at 32 North Poplar Street. Thank you again for your time. Thank you, Chillicothe, for this great statue you bestowed upon Neil Johnston. Now his legacy, his family have a wonderful place to visit and see this statue. Such a great honor the citizens of Chillicothe have given to this community and to the Johnston family. Good evening, God bless, and God bless the United States of America.
How many of you were here the night that this was actually put into place? A handful of us were here. It seemed like it was never going to get set, didn't it?
We've never done it before.
Had never done it before, and finally it was in place. What a night that was. And I remember saying to Bruce Caplinger at the time, I said, Bruce, I cannot wait to see what this statue looks like about this time later in the year. The evening sun will be hitting it, and look what we have. If we wrap this up, Bruce, we'll have sun hitting this and not behind those shade trees. So let's continue with the program. Allow me to introduce Mr. Bruce Caplinger.
I've waited 5 years to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Neil Johnston Gardens. Funny, Dan was talking about putting a statue up. I didn't know he was going to talk about that. If anybody knows my luck since this all started and my accident, when Bud Overman, who knew Neil and played basketball with Neil, was operating that crane and had this 2,500-pound statue up in the air, we had never done it before, but I said to Brian Hanlon, we're going to make this happen. And they had that statue way up in the air above them trees, and me and Mike Lane got down here on the hands and knees and was digging the holes out so the rods could go in there. With the statue right over my head, I looked at Mike and I said, Mike, are you aware of my luck? And I think Mike said something about, yeah, I'll step back, you finish this. Oh, thank you guys for coming out. Thank my wife, Becky. She's got our new grandbaby, Holden. So I guess she's not going to stand up. She's been my rock through all this. There he is. There's our new grandbaby. So much support. She's donated to the fundraisers. She's helped out. She supported me. And she's been great. My mom, 81 years young. She's your typical mother. Little embarrassing. She's always telling everybody. It's so embarrassing. Oh, I got the greatest son in the world. I got the greatest son in the world. And unfortunately, Larry couldn't make it here today. He's in Canada fishing. My mother-in-law, Barb Sims. Barb, throw your hand in the air. My stepdaughter, Kendall, she just had Holden. Son-in-law, Josh, raise your hand. That's my family that's here. I do have another cousin, Diane McCorkle, back here beside Garen. Stand up, raise your hand. Do I have any other family here? How about a round of applause for them? Who? Oh, OTP, my adopted brother. All right, Dan said make this quick, so I'm gonna try. I did write some stuff down. I'm gonna talk fast. Without my committee, I couldn't have done this. I thank you guys for giving me 5 years of your life. I want to thank all the corporate sponsors, everyone that donated money. Some people didn't donate money, but those people believed in the project and they inspired us to keep going. Even when there's times I personally thought about quitting and was almost not even around to see this day. I want to thank the 3 companies that put this together, which is Vince Beverly Concrete, Chris Littler of Arceli's Landscape and Design. Chris, raise your hand. I'm not sure people's seen you. Raise your hand. Chris Littler, everybody. I was here and witnessed his crew. They put in tons of dirt. This was not level when we started with this. So Chris, thank you for what you have done. And then Koppel Coal donated some of the rebar for this. Is Steve here? No, but Steve helped out. Thank you, CHS Board of Education, for allowing us to have this site. When I started this project 5 years ago, I told the school board at the meeting, if we have any money left over, we will create the first annual Neil Johnston Scholarship Fund. I'll have to get with Dr. Chris Good to see how much money we have, but as a committee, we have decided that the money that we do have will go to 2 CHS students, graduating seniors next spring. That will divide the money evenly between 1 male and 1 female student. So I'm proud that we are starting the Neil Johnston Scholarship Fund. The first 2 will go to CHS students. After that, if we get more money that comes in and people like what we're doing, then we'll open it up to our county, Ross County. We have a lot of kinks to work out, who's going to get it and all that. So, but we will get there, and we appreciate it. If you haven't donated yet and you like what we're doing, come and see us in the spring early, and we can add 2 students furthering their education. A lot of people have asked me, what does a statue bring to our city? Why should I donate? Larry Gates even said that to me the first meeting he came to, and I didn't even know Larry Gates, and I was pretty nervous when he asked me that question. I had a funny story, but I probably better not tell it. A statue honors the person it depicts. But ladies and gentlemen, a statue is far more than that. It's far more than that. It brings so much more to your city. It preserves your history. It becomes a focal point for local and out-of-town visitors. And Chillicothe being the first and third capital, we have a tremendous amount of out-of-town visitors. At the end of the day, it's a piece of artwork. It brings so much more than even that. But a statue inspires our youth. That if you too try hard, regardless of what your career is, you can be successful. Neil Johnston was not the most talented basketball player in the world, but he certainly was one of the hardest workers in the history of sports. Jan Corzine and I set up a table with one of the 21-inch tall statues that Brian Hanlon was so kind to give us. He gave us 9 of those. He gave us those to network the project, to sell, to auction, whatever it took. He gave it to us and said, do what you got to do. We're going to bring this statue here. So Jan and I set up at a football game 4 years ago, and we had that statue out on a table. And we was near the entrance of the new complex over there, and this little boy about 9 or 10 years old bought his ticket, and he came running around the corner, his father in tow, and he ran up to me and he said, "Bruce, I love this statue." He had a smile this wide. He said, "This is amazing." He said, "I have followed all the articles in the paper, and I've read everything about Neil Johnston. This is amazing." He said, "I cannot wait to see it." And he was probably 9 or 10. So today, he's probably 14 or 15. But could you imagine that little boy when we set this up June 15th of last year? Perhaps he rode his bike up here, parked his bike, and got up here and looked at this. It's inspiring him to succeed. How about a round of applause for the inspiration a statue brings? After 5 years of countless hours, it would probably be a fair guess to say that the number one thing that I'm going to take away from this is this. This is what we worked for. My committee worked so hard. But if you think that, you're wrong. Through doing this fundraiser, I got to spend quality time with my best friends. I rekindled old friendships. And one of the greatest things, I made new friendships. That's the greatest thing that I take away from this. This statue is for the community. It's for the school. It's for Neil Johnston. None of it's for me. But I certainly appreciate all those that helped, all those that donated. And that's the most important thing that I take away. Thank you all so much.
We have one more speaker, and without him, we couldn't have this today. He is the sculptor, he is the artist, he is the man who brought Neil Johnston back home to Chillicothe. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Hanlon.
Real quick, I forgot this. So I called up 2 people when I thought about doing this statue real quick. That's going to be so much $1,000. That's going to be so much $1,000. And how tall you want it? Well, that's more $1,000. I said, thank you for your time. The conversation, I'm not kidding. 60 seconds, done. I looked at this man's bio. Classically trained master sculptor. He's been the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame official sculptor since 2015. 2018, he became the official sculptor for the Rose Bowl Stadium. And I looked at his bio and I called him up. And I said, this is going to be a waste of time. Because from what I see, this man's the best in the world. And I called Brian up and I told him, I'm Bruce Caplinger, Ohio's first and third capital. And we have great athletes here, Native American history, the Adena Mansion. Told him all about Chillicothe, and Neil Johnston's from here. And he said, yeah, Neil Johnston's a Naismith Memorial Hall of Famer. And it kind of threw me. And I let him speak. And he said, Bruce, Neil is also the one that mastered the hook shot. And I said, yeah. And then he took over the conversation. And he said, Bruce, the first thing we got to do is find a place for this statue. And he said, I like that area to the left of Hatton Gymnasium. I didn't know if he was psychic or on Google Earth or what he was doing. But this man had a passion for what he was doing. And he said, Bruce, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm going to send you 9 21-inch tall statues, which he has. He's helped us raise money. And he said, Bruce, it's not a matter of is it going to happen. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. Now, at that time, Brian didn't think 5 years later we would be here. And it's probably one of the longest running fundraisers that he's ever been a part of. But ladies and gentlemen, that's our perseverance here in small town, middle America, USA, Chillicothe High. You guys didn't give up, and I appreciate that. This man right here, when I walked out of my mom's room after getting off the phone with him, I had tears going down my face because he told me, Bruce, this is going to happen. And this man made it happen, and I appreciate him for doing that. How about a round of applause now for Brian Hanlon?
These emotional guys, it gives the world better meaning, you know. Thank you, Bruce. That's means a lot. Means a lot. Yeah, my name is Brian Hanlon. I'm from Toms River, New Jersey, and it is absolutely an honor to be visiting with you tonight. This is special. When I got the feel for the sincere and passionate grassroots project Bruce was about to undertake, I was all in. My wife and I have been super successful at this business of sculpture over the past 35 years, and when someone like him comes to me, I feel passionate too about giving back and doing something important. And I think this particular sculpture is all of that because of Neil's pursuit of excellence. And we can't instill in our young people enough this attitude and this outlook of pursuing excellence and having some pride in who we are and what we do and where we live. I think he had all of those and more. The time that he played is one of my favorite periods of basketball history. The first sculpture I did as a very young man was of Bob Cousy, and he played 47. He won the national championship with Holy Cross, and that was the year that Neil was a freshman as well. So I think they would be the same age. And also, I think that City College, that was Nate Holman's team. I don't know if Dolph Shays, we were talking about him today, I don't know if he was NYU or City College, but there was amazing players in that era of the country as well, and that's why they took down those guys, because they had probably Dolph and who went on to play at Syracuse against Neil, with Earl Lloyd, who I sculpted at West Virginia State, who's a great story. If you're a sports history person, read about Earl Lloyd before you hit the pillow tonight. Very, very important. And these pioneers are historical markers. These aren't sculptures to celebrate vanity or glory of an individual, but to educate and inspire us to be interested in our history. And the educated citizen is a better citizen. That's just simply the way it is. It has been and will be. So I love doing projects like this. I got to tell you, this landscape you did for this is as good as the sculpture, because the pictures I saw on the corner, the transformation's amazing. I get to do statues. For example, I'm doing a few for the Broncos right now. Some guy named Peyton Manning. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's something about throwing a forward pass. And also Mike Shanahan, coach. I did all of the Ring of Fame statues at the Bronco Stadium, as well as the owner, Mr. Bolin. And the landscape isn't as good as this. So, and I do them at universities. Yeah, right. It is. I know the selections you made, the choices you made. It's simple. It's beautiful. You can't do better than that. So, really grateful and humbled to be a part of this, and appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you very much.
Now the moment we've all been waiting for. Although a good number of us have already seen what it looks like, this makes just the goosebumps pop up. So we're going to move the podium out of the way and move this microphone out of the way, and then I think we'll make this happen. How's that sound?
While Dan's doing this, he was a part of the first two fundraisers. As you all know, he's a local legend here, and he has helped out so much, and he, of course, he volunteers to do all this. Dan Ramey does a great job, and I'm proud to call him my friend. How about another round of applause for Dan Ramey? Thank you, guys. And now the drum roll.
No, I did not practice. I had 5 years to get this right, and I may not.
Like you're doing good so far.
One other thank you. Thank you, Mom, for making the cover for this.
All right, now just so everybody knows what's going on here, real quick, because people are here and they want to get photos taken. The committee, can they all start lining up over here? And where's our photographer? Vanessa? Yep, she's going to start taking photos of everyone. Where you want to take them from, Vanessa?
I'll just sit right here and you can go. Just go in front of the statue.
Okay, we have a ladder. Do you want a ladder to stand on, or do you just want to do it standing?
Where's the ladder?
Right there behind the bushes. Can somebody get that? That might help you get up higher. Okay, so the first one's getting the photos. And Brian, don't go too far, because I know some of my committee members has waited for a long time to meet you, and they're going to want their picture. We're going to try to get everybody through here really quick. The first photo I want, all committee members come up here. I want a picture with all the committee members, so please, all the committee. And then after we get everybody through, Brian will be here for a little bit, and anybody that wants a picture with Brian by the statue, please feel welcome. And once again, everybody, thanks for coming out.
What's the actual, pretty good, you know? So what's the actual title of the committee?